Very well, welcome to Clan Live Fan TV. My name is Callie York. I'm joined today by Mike Maidens. How you doing, Mike? Okay?
Very well, thanks yourself.
I'm all right. I'm all right, mate. Good
Good.
win for Tampa Bay last night.
Yeah, it was tough game. Got up and watched it. I've been watching the whole series. A few nasty missed calls in there.
Yeah,
But yeah, glad to get it across the line and looking forward to Colorado in the Stanley Cup final.
superb. For those who don't know, I joined up with Mike earlier last season. We had a chat around the Guildford Flames, who Mike's a big fan of and writes for Chasing the Puck. Are you still doing the writing pieces,
Yeah,
Mike? Yeah.
I haven't done much last season, purely because my involvement with the EIHA. But yeah, still around chasing the puck, still talking to the guys regularly. Obviously, we've been discussing all the off-season moves with a few of the guys, especially down in Cardiff, with the big one that I'm sure we'll touch on later. So, yeah.
Super, mate. We're 90 days away from the start of the season, and we're seeing some teams confirming players in the roster. There's a couple of connections with the Flames that the Clan have signed. The first one being John Dunbar. Then we saw Jordan County coming in as well. So just want to get your views as a Flame fan on these players. So what I want to do is first look at the statement that was issued by the Guildford Flames when John Dunbar actually left. This was the official statement on the Guildford Flames website around the departure of John Dunbar. Not going to read it all out, but some key points to note from this statement. After spending 4 seasons with Flames as part of the initial core group of players that helped establish the club in the Elite League, going forward, John Dunbar will ice elsewhere in the 22-23 season. We know he's going to move on, obviously, to the Glasgow Clan. He had a total of 244 points for the Flames, 60 goals, 184 assists in his 264 games for the club. Paul Dixon, head coach of the Flames, seemed disappointed to lose him. But he did say, we did make an offer to John to return for the coming season. But it was definitely not in the same role he had in years prior. And quite understandably, he declined because he wants to get somewhere that will offer him the playing conditions he is looking for. John has been an absolute starter to this team over the time, not only on the ice, but off of it also. We wish John nothing but happiness and success as he moves into his next playing arrangements with his new team, the Glasgow Clan. So, yeah, glowing tribute to John Dunbar there on the club website, and disappointing he's moving on, but Guildford Flames' loss is a Glasgow Clan's gain. So I've scanned through that statement quite quickly there. There's other parts you can read on the screen, but I'd like to get your views, Mike, as a guy that's seen John Dunbar play there, how you think he'll do at the Clan and what your views are on that signing, but also a big loss, the looks of it, for your club.
Yeah, I'm firmly of the belief that he's going to be a massive loss for us. And I'll admit, I mean, even now it's a hard one to take that John Dunbar's no longer going to be icing for us. Not just because he's gone to another elite league club, but kind of, as you said in the statement, how it appears to have happened. He's been a nailed-on first liner for us for the entirety of his time with Guildford, along with Watters and what was Cruz Reddick. Over the few years we've had him, he's been one of the best playmakers in the league. He, the second we're in the zone, the way he can open up plays with some, quite intricate passes, especially going across the goal face to set up other players. It's he's one of these guys who I feel has been very much underappreciated by fans as well as what appears to be management at this point. Now, I don't wish to speak out of turn, but I don't feel that there's talk of a modified role for him in the Guildford statement. How far down the lines that would have put him, I don't know. Obviously, his point production has dropped off considering where he came in. He came in, got 82 points in the league. He's probably got about 40, 45, something like that last season. But you need to look at the metric of the team, the players that he's playing with. There's a reason that it's dropped off, and it's not just that he's lost a step. I mean, the guy's only 30.
Yeah.
So for me, there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more to it. I mean, like everyone, he does blow hot and cold. Sometimes he is anonymous, but there's always that 1 or 2 times in the game where, bang, magic will just happen. He'll throw a pass out there, and quite simply, a lot of the time last season we were seeing he'd throw out a pass which would normally be put away, but players aren't getting onto the end of these at the moment, and whether that's a case of they're just not on the same wavelength, especially since COVID, or I don't know. I don't know. For me, he is going to be a big loss, and he's one of these guys that we're not going to really realise what we've lost until we see the impact of him going.
Yeah, I mean, that first season especially, His numbers were outstanding. I think at that time he was playing, was it Waters and Reddick were on the same line?
Correct, yeah.
Is that what you're maybe meaning? It's maybe just guys, if he's got the right guys on his line, he's more a playmaker than a goal scorer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you stick Dunbar one-on-one with a goalie, and forgive me if you hear this, John, 9 times out of 10, you're not really that confident that he's going to put it away. So, yeah, playmaking is absolutely what his go-to skill is. But, I mean, if you look at that first season, we were sticking Waters in front of in front of the net, and he was causing havoc whilst Reddick and Dunbar were doing their thing. The season just gone, Cowney was the guy who was on the first line with them, and it was Cowney in front of the net, and he wasn't creating the kind of disruption that Ian Waters once was, but also he wasn't picking up on the puck quite like Waters and Reddick were doing previously either.
Okay.
And that's not a slant on Jordan Cowney. We'll come on to him in a minute, and the great things which he does do and the great things he brings to a team, but he isn't a Cruz Reddick in terms of what he was bringing to that line.
Okay.
And again, like I said, that's certainly not to his detriment because he has a different skill set.
Yeah, I mean, certainly I don't know. Obviously, you look at the stats on Dunbar, and it's been, outstanding the seasons he's been with you. But what mentioned in that statement, as you say, about maybe maybe a reduced role within that might have been a reason why I decided, and it's alluded to in the statement, but by Mr. Dixon, that it might be the reason why he wanted to look elsewhere in the league to get more ice time or maybe a more prominent role. I don't know where he'll fit in with the Clan. We've not seen the roster yet, whether he'll be a first line or a second line or whatever. But it'll be interesting to see who he's teamed up with. We obviously made a sign and announced it yesterday, Stephen Dixon joining us from the Cardiff Devils, and I think that's the kind of guy that can maybe excel with Dunbar.
Absolutely. And the thing is, Stephen Dixon, what a signing. Let's just kick off with what a signing. Even at 36 years old, Dixon is one of the best players in the league. And if you look at what he brings as a centreman, it's kind of what you'd expect to see from what Guildford had or didn't have on the first line in terms of like more of a Cruz Reddick type player from what we'd like to see from Jordan Cowney. Dixon's face, he's one of the best face-off guys in the league. He gets in front of net well. His deflections are superb. He's got great hockey IQ. And he's going to be a massive asset. And if you put a playmaker like Dunbar alongside him, I genuinely think those guys are going to pick up a lot of points.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And there's obviously a lot more still to come from the Clan as we try to hopefully challenge towards the top end of the league this season. Obviously owning the arena now is hopefully going to increase income streams into the club.
Absolutely.
And by doing that should hopefully increase budgets, and that's maybe why we're seeing a Stephen Dixon, guys of that ilk, signing for the Clan.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just, again, looking at the differences. Only 2 players averaged in the face-off circle. They only averaged a face-off percentage win of over 60%. That was Dixon and Scott Conway. The next closest was Justin Hodgman, who's got just over 56% as a percentage win with Sheffield. And other than that, you guys are, between sort of like 49 and 52 cents as like an average across the league. Dixon is incredible in face-off dot.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a couple of areas I would say, or 3 areas I would say highlight the Clan struggled in last season. One was really face-offs, winning face-offs. We really struggled with that. Defensively, we really struggled. And finally, we lost far too many goals and couldn't score enough goals. And if you have a sort of system like Belfast have where they score 4 and concede 2, well, that's a winning formula in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that Dixon brings to the team is how good he is on the penalty kill. So one thing which I noticed with the Glasgow team last year, and obviously I'm not as close to the team as you are, of course, when they were on the penalty kill, they seemed to struggle at times, and they certainly let their head drop at times, especially in the third period if they were going into the kill. A guy like Dixon, he's got the experience and he's got the the hockey sense that he brings in, that he can have that calming influence. He's not afraid to get into dirty areas. He doesn't hit like he used to, but he can still hit like a train when he needs to.
Yeah.
He is a really good all-round player as a forward. He's a two-way forward who brings an awful lot to the team. And I think that within in Cardiff, there's a lot of star power there. But when you take him out, it's a little bit like Dunbar coming down here. When you put guys like Dunbar and Dixon together, you start to, how to describe it? You lose their individuality when they're in a team full of star power. But when you kind of see them, as players in their own right, they really are something special. We're lucky to have guys like that in the league.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I quite like about where we're going so far with this roster. We're bringing in guys like Dixon, guys like Dunbar, who are proven in this league. It's obviously not always a guarantee, because obviously when Jamie Crooks came in and didn't do quite so well, but didn't get the ice time probably to show what he could do. But going back to Dunbar, I mean, what can we expect as Clan fans from Dunbar?
I think the thing with Dunbar is it's his playmaking ability, and it's the way that when he gets onto the puck, it's the passes that he puts together. His passes are superb, and they're mainly saucer passes going across the ice. But it's not only in the offensive zone; it's also from centre ice, even in the own defensive zone. He can play a pass through the eye of a needle. And 9 times out of 10, that pass will go to its intended target. It's then the other guy, are they able to take it? Because they are quite tricky as they're coming across.
Yeah.
And they do come across at speed as well. It's his passing. He's still got he's still got the legs underneath him. People say that he may have lost a step. Personally, I don't necessarily see that. I think that from when we first come in the league and the way that the initial Guildford roster came into the league, we shocked a lot of people when everyone was saying, we've signed a team of fourth liners. What we signed was an incredibly fast team. Yeah. And for me, every team in the league has kind of reacted to that. So whereas we had the step on everyone, I don't think we really had that going into seasons 2 and 3, and most certainly not last season. You mentioned the Clan budget earlier on, and I think Guildford are doing the same, to be fair, in terms of they held back a little bit last year. And I think the budgets will increase because also we're going through the uncertainty of COVID. I don't know how close we came to a shutdown over the Christmas period when that started to kick off. But there was uncertainty. And I think a lot of teams will release more budget. And I think we'll have a much more even playing field than what we had last year, where Cardiff and Sheffield just seemed to run away with everything.
Yeah. And does Dunbar still have the speed as he had a couple of seasons ago?
I don't know if he's still got the same speed, but he's certainly still quick. He's got a good hockey brain. He's in the right positions. Right. He can pick out a pass. He's certainly not behind the play. And we had it similarly when we had TJ Foster on our second line pre-COVID. Foster was incredibly fast and he had an incredibly good hockey brain. The problem is you need players with that speed and with the hockey sense to be able to keep up with them. Because if they may well have the speed, but if they haven't got the sense to be in the right place, it's no good having a guy 3 or 4 steps down the ice unable to make a pass. Because as good as they are, if there's no one there to play the puck to, it's irrelevant.
Yeah. I know certainly Malcolm Cameron's statement when he joined the Clan Dunbar, he sort of assessed him more as a playmaker rather than a goal scorer, although he knows the way to the net. So from what you're saying, it sounds like he's got more of that role. You just need to look at his points and the number of assists within these points, and you can clearly see that if you put him in the right line with the right guy, then you're going to get quite a lot of points between them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if Dunbar is paired with Dixon and another, they will go on and they will get a hell of a lot of points for Clan next season. They are 2 top signings. They really are.
Yeah, definitely. Going to move on now to the other signing, which was Jordan Cowney. We briefly saw Jordan at the Braehead Clan under Ryan Finnerty. Then he got loaned out to MK Lightning and he spent a bit of time there and then went to Dundee for a few seasons. Yeah. Ended up last season at Guildford. So you've seen a bit more of Cowney in Elite League than I have seen. I mean, what's your views on Jordan Cowney? Do you think that's a good signing for the Clan? Or what's your
Yeah, I really do. Again, Cowney, he's similar to Matt Howlett. Matt Howlett, when he came in, we knew he'd bring energy, but we didn't quite know to what extent he'd bring energy. And Cowney has been, for me, I personally wouldn't have had him on the top line with Dunbar and Dunbar and Waters. I certainly wouldn't have kept him on for 75% of the season in that role like Dixon did. However, I can see why he did. I mean, what's impressed me the most with Cowney is the energy and the skating ability that he has. And I touched on this the last time we spoke. We played Cardiff. It was the last game in Cardiff Bay in the group stages of the Challenge Cup. And he came out for the third period, and he was like a man possessed. His energy, his relentless pressure, it was like he dragged the entire team to another level, in terms of energy in that third period. He was absolutely incredible, and he's done it throughout the season.
Right.
Again, he's had hot spells and he's had cold spells. I don't think he's got as many points as what he should have done in terms of his positioning within the team. Not all of that is, some of that's obviously going to be down to bad luck and great goaltending. But he is a seriously good player. He's still developing. He's still young. I think he's 26. I mean, he's still got some good years ahead of him. I would certainly not have been against him coming back and signing at Guildford. So for us, I do feel like he's been a loss, and our loss is obviously going to be your gain. I guess with Cowney, it's going to be similar to Jamie Crooks to a degree, which I said last season, in terms of he can get points if he's with the right people. Jamie Crooks, for me, it was a little bit of a car crash in terms of what he did for you guys last season. Jamie Crooks is a great guy, and he's very much a confidence player. With Cowney, I think that he doesn't necessarily need someone to tell him he's good, or he doesn't need that pat on the back or constant reassurance. He can just go out and do it. But all the time that he's skating the way that he does and he brings that energy, he makes things happen. He forces things to happen.
So would you say Cowney's more a playmaker than a goal scorer?
Difficult to say. For me, he's not really a goal scorer. I mean, he only put 9 away for us in the league. But then, I mean, assists-wise, he wasn't exactly prolific in terms of what I would class as a playmaker myself. He's just one of those energy forwards that he makes things happen, which brings other players into the game. Now, his assists are typically he's passing to players who are in better positions than him after he's helped hound the puck from the opposition. So I guess you could say, if anything, it's more of a playmaker, but a very different kind of playmaker to John Dunbar, for example. John Dunbar is the guy who will pick a pass out of nothing. Cowney is the guy who will go flying in, make things happen to get that turnover, which helps the entire team.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Howlett, I was impressed with him. He seemed to come into his own, you guys, last season, spent a bit of time with the clan, and I think he was coming on to a game before he left us, and he's always a guy you could rely on, who was an energy guy that came out and gave his all and could cause issues and create space for others. And it sounds like Cowney's in the same kind of way, but maybe Matt Howlett's possession, his points production was not fantastic, but it's not always about points, is it?
No, it's not. And the thing is, Matt Howlett came in and he was probably the guy who threw the most hits for Guildford last season. It was incredible because he's only a small guy, especially when he's not on skates. Again, he's another big loss for us. And what Dixon did last season was he took guys like Cowney and Howlett and he saw the speed and energy that he brought to the team. And when it comes to the British contingent, obviously it's a small pool that we're all fighting for. In terms of not only what's available, but what players want to do. And there are very capable players who are playing in the NIHL and even in NIHL 1. Vanya Antonov, for example, he's scoring like 2-3 points every single game in NIHL 1 South. He doesn't want to move on to the Nationals because of the travel, and he's also got work commitments. And obviously it's a short career over here, and you're certainly not going to pay off your mortgage and live comfortably once your career's done. So there are guys in this league or in the lower leagues, I should say, who can come on and who could probably do more and they could replicate the sort of things that Cowney and Howlett bring to the team. But there's, guys like Cowney and Howlett are incredibly hard to replace because of the reasons I've just mentioned. So they're both big losses for us. Whilst the point production isn't there, they're the ones who are going into the dirty areas, creating the turnovers, and your other players are coming in and picking up on that.
And we've also obviously brought in Craig Peacock as well from Fife, again returning to Clan. A guy I can see who can pick up points, generally good in terms of face-offs as well, which we've touched on as well. And I think another good signing for the Clan in terms of a bit of experience in the league and another Brit that has that experience, a bit like Cowney.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I would liken Peacock to Cowney. And if you look at his time in Belfast, he picked up a lot of points in Belfast.
Yeah.
But you need to look at the teams he's playing with. And it's the same with Cowney. Whilst Cowney's picked up 30 points for Guildford, he was predominantly on the top line playing with the likes of Dunbar and Waters with some good point-producing defensemen behind them as well.
Yeah.
Peacock, he picked up, I think, one of his seasons in Belfast, he got 40 points in the league. And you're thinking,
right.
Well, this guy could go on and be a superstar. But then when you put him into a different role within a different team without the level of talent or the depth of talent, I should say, not to cause offence to anyone when I say that, that metric changes and his role in the team changes and he needs to bring something else to the table. He will be a very good signing if Cameron can find the right partners to put him with. Yeah. And I think that's the same with Cowney. If he finds the right players to put him with, he will go on and do great things and they will produce. But it comes down to what Cameron can do.
Yeah, this is Cameron's blank bit of paper, his opportunity to come in and create a roster for himself. So
exactly.
It'll be interesting to see what he does with that. We've got 4 signed up just now. Be interesting to see what other pieces of the jigsaw he has to put with these guys. It's hard to say where they'll play because Cameron was for quite often mixing the lines and shuffling people about. So you weren't guaranteed a first line or a second line. You were basically moved about. If you didn't perform, you're moved about. And it'll be interesting to see what the other guys we bring in. It's too early to say till we see the rest of the roster coming together. But I'm pleased with the 4 we've signed, especially Dunbar and Dixon, because they are proven superstars in this league, you could argue. Again, I'm happy with Cowney and Peacock as well, because again, good Brits in this league. We're not taking a punt on somebody, unknown or 16 or 17-year-old. No offense to them, but I think you've got guys who know the league and have performed in the league and hopefully will do better. And I'm hoping with Cowney, he's got something to prove coming back to the Clan. I think he felt probably he was, dealt an unfair card that he moved on. You say he's coming out and dragging games by the scruff of the neck. Hopefully we see a bit of that desire from him when he returns to the Clan with something to prove it as well. So yeah, that's about the Clan, but I'm interested to find out about the Flames because read a lot of stuff online about the Flames. You're losing a few players there. Jerry that went to Dundee, Mac Howlett's gone to Dundee. You've lost Dunbar, but you've signed 3 D-men. You've signed another couple of guys as well. What's your view as a Flames fan of how your roster's coming together?
Honestly, it kind of feels too early to say, but I can't say that I'm particularly confident in what I've seen so far. We've re-signed Kyle Locke, Mike Crowcock, and
Yule.
Yeah, that's it. Alex Yule's come back in. Sorry. So with they're 3 very good defenders and they're solid. But if you look at where we ended up last season, it's very easy to look at Guildford and go, well, we finished 5th in the league and we made the playoff semi-finals and we finished 3rd overall, which is great. Don't get me wrong. 4 weeks before the end of the season, we were wondering as fans, are we even going to make the playoffs? We went on an incredible run of form and we had an awful lot of luck in terms of teams dropping off. Nottingham included there because they went through a torrid run of injuries as well. So if you look at where we were, I genuinely feel like where we ended up masks a lot of problems that we had. And of course, you got to look at your team overall when you go through a cold snap like we did. It's not just a couple of lines not performing, it's the entire team has got a problem. Now, Kyle Locke is a physical defenseman and he is very, very good in what he does. Mike Crowcock came in halfway through the season. He's a very solid and very capable player. He really did play well for us. Alex Yule, he was out of uni. Again, one thing that I noticed about him from the off was he is very good at not only separating the guy from the puck, but he would get the puck away from the player and then play the body to make sure they stayed well away from the puck. But again, there were lapses throughout the season, as there were with all the entire team. They're solid signings, but I don't think they're going to necessarily be enough, depending on what Dixon does and what the budget John Hepburn gives him. We need to really progress on, and we need to see some good signings come in. The loss of Dunbar is massive for us, and I can't understate that enough. The loss of Cowney and Howlett, again, these are guys who are their top end energy Brits that you can't necessarily replace, like I said earlier. there's talk about Ben O'Connor coming in, which is absolutely fine. Apart from we've signed 3 defenders from a team which struggled to defend at times last season, and our 4th defender could be a guy who's notoriously offensive and known to get caught out of the back quite a lot. Along with that, Ben O'Connor obviously left Cardiff for various reasons mid-season last year, and he went on and won trophies wherever he went. I can't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, I'm certainly not knocking the guy, but I think defensively we could struggle next season. And in terms of the offense, we never had enough goal scoring last season, and we've just lost our, arguably one of our very best players in Dunbar, but also the energy players who were able to go and create turnovers to give other guys opportunities. I've got to admit, at this point, I'll reserve judgment, but it's not been a great start to the off-season.
As we know, it's early doors and things can change, quite quickly. I mean, we saw that signing with Dixon coming in for the Clan, and that was a big lift for the Clan fan base, and other teams will get a lift when they see certain guys coming in as well, I'm sure.
Callie, there's just one more thing I'd like to add for the Clan fans, and it's a bit of feedback from one of my good friends, Ollie Hampson. He's a chasing the puck guy, but he was the Devils media manager from last season, and he was also one of the colour commentators for Ice Time TV. Now, he said that the main thing about the Stephen Dixon signing is what a great guy he is in the locker room, what a great teammate, how well liked he is, and how much of a leader he is. So I think out of everything that you've got going on, all your signings coming in, everything that he brings behind the scenes as well as on the ice, I genuinely think that you could be in for a good season with this guy.
Superb, mate. So I really appreciate your time coming on. I know you're busy with stuff. No doubt go and enjoy a few beers after Tampa getting that win last night and on to the final for them. So take care, mate, and catch up with you soon.
All the best, Gally. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Bye-bye.